I'm Fara Sax, and this is the Community Voice, local programming with topics that are important and matter to you. It is here I step out of my role as a marketing and public relations consultant and into the studio to deliver local news while connecting you, our viewers, to my guests. Thank you for the Community News for having me as a guest, as a host of this show, and being with Community Newspaper for the last 25 years. Thank you, Michael and Grant Miller. My guest today is part of Fem Infusion Centers by Heme On Call, that's a long name, a fully run telehealth medicine practice focusing on women's health issues, basically low iron deficiency. Under the medical director and its founder, Dr. Stephen Fine, they have grown to serve our community with 5 different locations in South Miami, Hollywood, and of course throughout South Florida. My guest today is Gigi Campos. She is the Director of Business Development. That was a mouthful, and I thank you so much for being with me, Gigi.
Thank you for this opportunity. We're really excited to be here.
And we met before because you were in our beautiful offices to help all of our patients, so to speak, all of our staff with, and we'll get into that about the women's campaign. But a fun fact about you, you grew up in Miami.
Sure did.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to the University of Miami for college, but grew up in the Westchester area.
Westchester. So how do you actually say Westchester in those days? Westchester?
Westchester.
I can't even do it.
Westchester.
So where did you go to college?
I went to the University of Miami and I studied industrial engineering.
Oh, that's really good. From business development to engineering. How did that transition happen for you?
We're building processes and improving things for the community. So they're super connected. So industrial engineering is building processes, and so business development is developing business. So it's a process. And so they are very connected.
And what the funniest thing is, when I asked you off camera, I said, one fun fact about you. You said,
I danced ballet for 15 years. I wasn't very good at it, so.
That's good to know your limitations and you move on. We all morph into something completely different than where we start, right?
That's right.
So let's get in. So this is Heme On Call is the first telemedicine totally operated for hematology. And then there's Fem Infusion Centers. So what happened? How did this happen? How did you grow? How did you come on board? Tell us everything.
All right. So Dr. Fine has a huge heart and a big mission to improve hematology and improve people's health across the community. And so he started with Heme On Call, knowing that a hematologist does a lot of their practice fully and completely by looking at lab tests. And so he said, why can't we do this telemedicine? I can travel the world, see other patients and see patients that are in other remote places. He started with rural telemedicine, which was really exciting because he was reaching patients that otherwise would not have received care from a hematologist for days and or weeks because there weren't any in their communities. And during that process, he realized that there was a huge need, even in our local community, to give hematology services to the women that needed iron. And he, of course, started with Heme On Call. And when he realized all these women needed iron, we started to actually try to infuse those women in local infusion centers. And that led us to realize that there was no capacity to see these patients. Most of these infusion centers in the community are focused on hospital-based and they're giving chemotherapy. A lot of women that need iron are healthy, happy, functioning members of society, and it's kind of challenging to go into a hospital setting to get an infusion. So in comes Fem Iron Infusions, which is our dedicated infusion centers to give those women the iron. And so knowing that our mission from the beginning has always been to identify and treat every woman who needs iron, we had to open up the Fem Iron Infusion Centers to really meet that need and that goal.
And it's very interesting. Dr. Fine has been a guest on my show in the past, and what I found very interesting is that he started this telemedicine before COVID. I mean, it seemed like he started it and then COVID happened and telemedicine became like the buzzword for how to deal with any kind of ailment. So he was really a trailblazer and pioneer in really reaching a lot of people that otherwise would go unnoticed.
Absolutely. That's one of the inspiring things about working here is that Dr. Fine is extremely visionary, and he knew that people needed care. He knew he could do it via telemedicine before others knew that that was an option. And he started this company to meet that community need and to expand his reach, beyond just even this immediate community, but beyond. I mean, he wants to be nationwide, and he's credentialed in over 27 states to see patients. So his goal is to use telemedicine as a vehicle to give people beyond this community the help that they need.
So walk me through what happens when someone realizes, does someone know the difference between anemia, low iron deficiency? Will a woman feel sick? Will she be age appropriate of being pregnant? Is it older women, postmenopausal women? How do you treat and how do you know the differential? Because that's a hard one to detect sometimes because the symptoms are amazing, and maybe you can address that.
Yeah, so that's what's super interesting about our niche, right? So my husband actually described it as sometimes we're kind of like, our services are in the checkout line, like in the services where people don't know they need us. And so fortunately or unfortunately, iron deficiency gives common symptoms like fatigue and tiredness and ice chewing, which is something that people will never think is something they need to go to talk to the doctor about, right? So when you have such common ordinary symptoms, you have people ignoring that they may need help. So iron deficiency is a little different than anemia because iron deficiency is essentially the precursor to anemia. So because our red blood cells need iron, your blood cells will deplete all of the iron you have in your system first, and then you become anemic. So what we are trying to do is actually identify this before anemia happens. Unfortunately, the community focuses on doing regular blood work, which will only detect anemia. What we try to do is if you have symptoms of tiredness, fatigue, ice chewing, or even craving things that are non-nutritional, some people crave things like chalk or sand, we immediately test their iron levels so that we can determine if what they need is just iron. Sometimes you can consume iron orally, and that is, can boost for people who have who have enough iron but just need a little boost. But what we can actually ingest of iron is very low. So pregnant women actually need a lot of iron for their babies. So they become that big population that we try to identify to get them iron, because the baby will take up almost all of mom's iron during the third trimester. So again, the community tends to focus on waiting for those mothers to become anemic. Our practice is actually in the business of identifying that they need iron prior to them becoming anemic.
So it's a very proactive approach.
Yes.
So you're talking about pregnant women. Are you talking about postmenopausal women? Like who is in that schematic for you?
Yeah, so primarily we're looking at women that are of childbearing age. Because the most common reason that women become iron deficient other than pregnancy is actually just heavy menstrual bleeding. So sometimes there are other comorbidities, sometimes like GI issues and other medical conditions that can lead to iron deficiency, but those are less common. All women of childbearing age are having menstrual bleeding, and so sometimes that is heavy enough to deplete them of the iron that they need.
And then another component is dietary strategy. What's going on in probiotic being in the gut is a real buzzword as well, but how does it contribute to and account for this low iron deficiency?
Yeah, so of course we can consume iron in foods. There are iron-rich foods such as spinach, protein. There's a lot of things. However, our gut is only able to absorb 5 milligrams a day. So
What does 5 milligrams account? Like if you would equate it to food, what is 5 milligrams? Sorry, I put her on the spot.
Yeah, you totally
okay, forget about that.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to fib.
Okay,
but yeah, it's not a lot, right? So what that means is our body needs a lot more, and if you're already deficient, even if you changed your diet and ate very iron-rich foods for a week,
liver,
a month,
like
right?
liver, spinach,
nuts, your
seeds.
body is still consuming the iron while you're having it, so you're not building the iron stores, which is really what we want to do, so that whenever your body needs it, it has the iron that
So how does the infusion center come in and play a part to getting a woman or even a man?
Yes,
because they also can have low iron deficiency. How does that happen? Once you detect it, is it from a blood test?
Yes. So our process is pretty simple. We see patients via telemedicine. We order labs. Once those labs come back, we have another telemedicine visit to review and make the decision with the patient on how they want to treat their iron deficiency. If they are depleted enough and their iron stores are low enough, we suggest iron infusions. Iron infusions are very simple. I actually had one a couple of weeks ago because I have medical conditions that make me at higher risk and of having low iron.
Did you have those symptoms? Did you have fatigue and eye chewing? Did you want sand or?
No, I didn't.
That's a really interesting thing.
I was just
that's
tired.
Because when I was listening to that, I was like, wow, that sounds like it's something like for a TV show or something. Like next on 12, this person ate 10 bags of sand. I mean, really, that's pretty amazing that the craving component. Okay, so how did it manifest for you? Going back, I'm sorry, I went on the side there.
No, that's fine. So for me, it really was just feeling very tired. And it was like not a tiredness like I didn't sleep enough last night. It was just like a brick wall that I would come into where I was just like, I need to sleep or like the world is ending. Like it's just not, so it was a very, very severe tiredness.
Did it come on you all of a sudden? Like, do women complain for that first stage? Is it come on slowly?
Yeah, no,
like,
it's
how
gradual.
Does that happen?
It's gradual, which is why I think that people tend to ignore it, right? You just think
I'm tired from work. I'm stressed about the kids. I haven't slept enough. I haven't eaten properly. I haven't exercised.
Pregnant. Yeah. Obviously, I'm going to be tired, right?
Right.
And yet, that's not actually what it has to be, which is pretty exciting. There's hope for that tiredness, right? I've felt so much better since my iron infusion. And
do you go often? You have to go again? Is it a repeat performance all the time for women?
So we try to treat this obviously holistically, and that means that when we get the person the iron that they need via iron infusion or oral iron, if that were appropriate, then we try to figure out why are they becoming iron deficient? What is depleting their iron? If it's heavy menstrual bleeding, there's medication that you can get on to reduce the flow and can improve your likelihood of needing iron in the future. So we, obviously we don't just stop at the iron infusion. If there is something that we can do to prevent you from needing the iron infusion in the future, that is the right thing to do depending on that patient's needs. Primarily, you wouldn't need to fill your iron stores, and then you would probably not need to see us for 6 to 12 months. And if we were able to control whatever risk factor you had that was depleting your iron, you may not need iron.
Well, it's very interesting because when one goes to their general practitioner or their OBGYN, they do a test. They do a test for anemia. Like I remember long time ago when I was pregnant, they just did that and then that was it. But how do you have partnerships with doctors that are not hematologists? They're doctors in different modalities and they all have, God bless them for being our gifts and helping us along. But how does that partnership work with what you're doing on Heme on Call and with the infusion centers?
Yeah, so actually I would say a very large portion of our company strategy has been to go into the community and make partnerships with these OBGYNs and primary care physicians, GIs, etc., to create partnerships to give them awareness and to provide them education. Because fortunately or unfortunately, these people went to school a long time ago, and hematology was probably a 30-minute course. You know, it was, unfortunately, it didn't, you know, unless you went into that specialty, they didn't spend that much time on this topic. And so we are spending time in the community. We have a marketing team that is actually all clinical, except for one person on the team. Everyone is clinical. So they come to these clinicians and educate them on why what we do is important and why additional testing should be done earlier in pregnancy of these women, but even of patients that are coming to them with these other symptoms like I'm tired, I chew a lot of ice, is that normal? Or even to prompt them to ask the patients these questions, because they may not think that there's anything wrong with them chewing ice, right? They may just think it's just their craving, you know, and it's much more than that.
And I think much more than that, what you have done and under Dr. Fine is you're out in the community now, and you have launched the Working Women campaign. And it's an opportunity for you to get out of where you are, and you actually come into offices, places of business that help women and men, if they so choose, by a quick an easy diagnosis. And you came to community newspapers recently, so I want to show a couple of what you're doing. So tell me what happens during this campaign and what you hope to accomplish.
Yeah, so this is super exciting. What we have with the Working Women campaign is actually trying to make strategic partnerships with employers who want to have a healthy working, staff. And so
here's our staff, and that's
exactly.
Denise. She's in our art department. Andres, you can go on.
So we actually go ahead and partner with employers. We come to their place of business. Sometimes they'll have us come in right after their monthly, meeting or a huddle, and we come in. We'll do a quick 5-minute blood draw. And
I see the candy. You gave us all candy. So everybody was pretty excited about the candy. No one looks particularly happy, but this was a painless, and you guys were great, and you gave us results right away. And I think you were able to identify 2 people in our office that had a low iron deficiency. So kudos to you for all the work. And here's another one who is a male in our office, and even getting his blood drawn as well.
Absolutely. So that's exciting.
And there you are.
Oh no, that is a terrible photo.
That's okay. We're our own worst critic. But again, the candy was the best part of the operation there. It was painless, and it only took a couple of minutes. So you really get it. Oh, there's Lori. She's really scared of needles, and we even talked her through it, and she was fine.
Yes. And everything is completely free. So again, because this is tied so strongly to our vision and our mission, right? Dr. Fine wants to identify and treat every woman who needs iron. And so we understand that means we are willing to come to the workplace and actually give these free tests to anyone who's interested. Within 72 hours, they have their results. And within, 3 days, if they want to be seen by our office, we'll see them within a week, so that then we can figure out the plan of how we're going to address their iron deficiency if they have any.
But this is not a life-threatening. This is just
quality of life.
Absolutely. I mean,
maybe, I don't know, it might be more important. No, I don't know if it's more important, but it definitely is super important that at least we're here, we're in, we have life every day. And so we want to be able to enjoy that to the fullest versus, wanting to sleep all the time.
And so again, you're looking for women that are pregnant, women that are feeling these symptoms but not really sure, not getting the answers that they want. It's not like a quick pill that they took of iron where it's just ingested. We're talking about something that will give a longevity, lifespan in the cycle of the iron, so it stays in the body. Anything else that you can tell us in the time that we have left?
Yeah, not much. I think you summarized it pretty well. But yeah, we're here because we want to make smarter babies. We want to, iron is important in brain development, and we want to give people the quality of life that they deserve.
What does that mean?
Simple.
What does that mean? Smarter brains for babies.
Yeah,
You
so-
just snuck that in.
Yeah,
We
sorry.
think we're done, but one more thing.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that? Tell us about that
So
cycle.
that is that the baby's brain development is iron is very important in the baby's brain development. And that's happening primarily in that third trimester when that baby is absorbing all of mom's iron. And so if mom doesn't have enough iron to give the baby, there is research that says that it would impede, the brain development of the baby. We're also trying to participate in research to help us understand that a little bit better. But certainly that is our goal, is to try to get people, we know that the baby needs the iron, let's get the baby the iron. And then in the meantime, we're going to study it to understand better why this could impede the baby's brain development and exactly what those outcomes would look like.
And also, this is also for heavy menstrual bleeding, fibroids, bleeding, things
Yes.
that go on. And again, they want to pop the pill, and you think that it's going to be okay. And
It's going to take the pill months and months and months to work, if it does work. And the infusion is, 1 to 4 infusions, depending on how depleted and which drug the insurance covers. But this is covered by insurance. It is a medical necessity that the insurance will pay for. So it's really, within 4 weeks max, within a month, you're going to have all of the iron that your body needs.
and you feel
And
better
so-
when you took that infusion.
Absolutely. And it's already been, probably about a month since I got my infusion, and I feel just as great as the first day. As soon as that's in your body, you start to feel better.
And it's really a welcoming place, because I was there at the one in South Miami, and it's just very welcoming, great staff, warm and friendly, and it's comfortable and clean, and they give you some coffee, and anybody that serves coffee is aces in my book. But it really was a very nice atmosphere with great support system, and they can come out to your office, they can come to your place of work, and they right then and there. Remember when doctors, or maybe you don't remember, our audience, but doctors used to make house calls. So Heme on Call makes house calls to where you work. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, personalized service, and Dr. Fine, great work for what he's doing for our community and helping women. So Gigi Campos, thank you so much for being here today. And again, if you need more information, it's hemeoncall.com, 786-567-8310. And for the Working Women Campaign, you can speak to Gigi direct. And it doesn't get any better than that. You reach her at 305-849-6109 or Gigi at hemeoncall.com.
Thank you, Farah.
Thank you for being here with us, and thank you for all the work that you do in the community, and continued good luck. And she told me it's her birthday next week, so happy birthday, Gigi.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here with me today on The Community Voice. I'm Fara Sax. Until next time, take care of yourselves and